Hello, everyone, and welcome. Lesli Bitel here, business coach and mentor. And welcome, everyone. And today I am going live from Salida, Colorado. So, greetings from Colorado. And I have a special guest today, Dr. Asha Prasad. And Asha, would you like to say hello and let everyone know where you are located?
Yes, definitely. Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. I want to say hello to everybody. And I am actually joining you today from the Netherlands. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we got like basically across the world, which is so much
exactly.
fun. Yeah. All right. So we got some people jumping on. So I want to welcome everyone that's joining me here for the live show, as well as those of you that are going to catch the replay. So really excited to have you. Today, I have a special guest, as I mentioned, Dr. Asha Prasad. And I'm really excited to chat with Asha because we have a topic today that I think is absolutely critical. It's all about mindset. And I love this topic so very much because, as most of you know, most of you that are familiar with my work, I teach a lot of the business strategy, right? The tactics, the strategy behind building your practice. And I have to say, having been in this space for the last 8 years or so, a lot of it has to do with what goes on between the ears in terms of your success, right? Like the reality is, I can teach all the most amazing strategies in the universe to help you to build your practice, right? I'm sure you
Yeah,
can relate, right, Asha? It's like
it
amazing.
is.
You have to have the mindset piece in place. It'll absolutely catapult your results. And mindset is just so deeply embedded, right? In terms of who
It
we
is.
are, how we were raised. Like there's so many different variables. So that's why I'm really excited to have Asha with me today. Let me just share a little bit about Dr. Asha. So she is the creator of the Prasad method, which integrates Eastern philosophies with Western techniques to improve health, reduce stress, and unleash our innate potential. Through her coaching, consulting, writing, and speaking, she helps clients around the world to achieve healthier, happier, and more fulfilling and more successful lives and careers. So I really want to give you a big, warm welcome, Asha. Really delighted to have you here today. Can we kick things off? I'm so curious about your journey. We were chatting a
Yeah,
little
sure.
bit before we pressed the live button. We were
Right,
chatting a little bit about, how you ended up moving to Europe. I think
right.
that, I mean, if you want to share a little bit about that, but
Absolutely.
also just your background.
Yeah,
You're a chiropractor by
right,
training, and
right.
so I'd love to know a little bit more about how you moved into this mindset space as a mindset coach.
Absolutely, Leslie. It's very interesting because I was thinking about it before I was joining you today, and I was thinking about the journey along. I always do that before I speak with people about this because sometimes we take it for granted that we've been through it. We just take it for granted that we've just done it. But my background, I've got an Eastern background. My parents originally from India, but I was born and raised in the United States. And so growing up, I was growing up in a Western world with Eastern philosophy at the root of everything. So I was constantly learning to integrate things. And so that's where, I had this fascination of finding the connection points between things and figuring out, cause and relation and kind of, that cause and effect kind of thing. And so I went on to study and became a chiropractor and had my bachelor's degree actually in public health nutrition. So I incorporated that into my practice. And as I was going through practice, I realized that I was really fascinated with this holistic approach of treating people. And I found that people were getting much better results, quicker results, if you treated the whole person. And so that's where my journey kind of started in that way. And then lots of different things, a variety of things happened in my own life. And I made the decision to move to Europe. I'd always wanted to move to Europe. And I took that leap of faith and came over here because chiropractors were needed here and started my practices here, which was a whole other challenge in itself in a foreign country, foreign languages and all of those things. And what ended up happening, what ended up evolving was that I found that I was working with people on mindset a lot because like you were saying before, mindset is the foundation of literally everything. You can do the strategies in business, you can do even, for your health, you can do the exercises, but if your mindset at the foundation is not where it needs to be, then you're going to get results, but you're not going to get the results that you could get. You could just really, really lift the lid off of, your business if your
Right.
mindset is in the right place. So, and that's kind of like the short story of my journey of how I got here. And so I eventually started, working with people. I work with individuals, groups, and clients online in this space.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So are the majority of your clients currently, are they, patients? Like, are
hmm
you kinda crossing over, like,
Um,
treating them, from a chiropractic perspective
mhm.
and mindset, or are they more like other practitioners?
What? That's a great question. It's a combination, and it's a
Mhm.
real big combination. Actually, a lot of the people that I'm working with mindset are business owners, are CEOs, practitioners. It's a wide range of people. Actually, I do
Mhm.
have some patients that do approach me saying, "Hey, I want to dig in a little bit deeper. Can we work in this way?" And I'm more than happy to do that in that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. Okay. All right. So I want to ask you a little bit around, in terms of connecting your
hmm
purpose and mission. Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that. Just to like, let's give our audience some content that they can really sink their teeth into, and
Right.
actually use at the end of our time together today. Right. Some
Hey,
strategies that maybe they can
right.
begin to integrate to really increase their awareness around their own mindset. I think awareness is like half the
That's
battle, right?
huge.
So much of
That's
this
huge.
is like we just operate on autopilot and we
Yes.
don't even realize what's
Yeah.
going on until we start to create that habit. Let's talk a little bit about the
Mhm.
importance of connecting, because everyone here, for the most part, in my
Mhm.
audience, we're practitioners, right?
Right, right.
So, why is it so important to connect your purpose and mission?
Mhm.
Um, and how is that helpful in terms of improving business results and, of course, mindset?
Well, I think purpose and mission is really it's your why. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning, what gets you energized, what gets you, really, really pumped up to just tackle the day. And that is from, the business aspect of being in practice, of course, but also, of course, being practitioners or, whether it's in a brick and mortar facility or if it's online, whatever it is, connecting with your purpose and your why is super, super important because I think that is what motivates you and drives you. So I always advise people that if you may not know what it is, you may have an
Mhm.
idea of what it is because I think the things that we get lost in, the things that we can do and just lose the time in are really right in alignment with what your purpose really is about. You may not have defined it or looked at it, but I would advise people to take some time if you haven't done this before, or if you don't really know quite what your purpose is and what your why is, take some time to look at it and write it down, journal about it, whatever it is, work with a coach, work with a mentor, because what you're going to find is that as you get more specific and clear about that, it is going to open up more possibilities and more potentiality in your business to be able to get you the results quicker
Mhm.
on both
Yeah,
sides,
and
yeah.
I completely agree with that, and I can
hmm
say what I have found for myself personally
hmm
is, because I feel very connected to my big why,
yeah.
whenever I have days that maybe I start to question, like, "Should I be doing this?" Right? Like,
Right.
it's it is the most helpful tool when I sit there and I remind myself
Yeah.
why I'm here, and then it's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Right? Like, it
Exactly.
just
It brings you
helps me
right back. Yeah.
snap right out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
the grass is always greener kind of a thing, like, "Oh, maybe I could be doing this, or this instead." No.
Right. No.
So, I find it, like, it really anchors me
Yes.
into, not being that person who's, like, always looking for the next thing, right?
Right.
which
exactly.
honestly is pretty common in the world of entrepreneurs.
It is. It is. And it's easy to get distracted by all the outside noise because it's like, oh, a bright, shiny object over here. That looks
Yes.
interesting. That looks interesting. But really, when you are connected with your why, you can still look at those things and go, wow, that's kind of cool. But at the end of the day, you're going to be like, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. And people are going to feel that. The people that you're doing
Mhm.
business with, your clients, your patients, even your colleagues, whoever you're collaborating with, they're going to feel your passion and your commitment to your why. It just brings so much more of you, to your interactions with the world.
It does.
Yeah,
And not to mention, it is kind of helpful for branding too, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
When you can
It
share
really
your
helps with that.
story, I mean, it really does. Like,
It does.
looking
Yeah.
at it from a strategy standpoint,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
people that are really clear on their why and are willing to share a little bit about their personal
Exactly.
journey and their story and why they care so much about the work they're doing,
Yeah,
it is extremely powerful from just a marketing and
it
branding
is.
perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
true.
yeah, and just that willingness to be a little bit of vulnerable, right?
It
It
is.
helps us. I always think like vulnerability
Mhm.
connects us with other humans.
It really does. And you know what, Leslie? I think that vulnerability brings your authenticity to the table. It brings exactly who you are. And when people are being exactly who they are, I mean, it's contagious. You want to get to know them. You want to talk to them. You want to spend time with them. And I think as a business owner, it is very, very important. As an entrepreneur, it's very important that we are being real. We are allowing that vulnerability and authenticity to come through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, step one, get clarity around your
Hmm.
purpose and your mission, and really your big why. I would
Right.
say, from
Yes.
what I'm hearing so far, that's a great place to start. So, how do you recommend, especially in the world we're in now, things are
Right.
crazy
Yes.
and it can be challenging. Let's just call it. It can be difficult to maintain that positive attitude,
It is.
right?
It is.
So how do you coach your clients to keep that positive attitude when things get tough, right? Build
Yeah.
that I love the word resilience
Exactly.
because that is really the essence, I think, of what we're after. So how where do you even start with that, especially given just the craziness of
Exactly.
life in this day and age?
It is. I mean, there's so much noise going on. We're getting bombarded left and right with everything. And especially in this last 18 months, I think we can say that there's so much going on. And
Yeah.
what it is we have to quiet the outside noise. We have to be able to go inward. And what I mean by that is, and one of the biggest ways, let me just say this, is that just like anything else that we do, that we plan, for example, when we're planning for our meals, we plan out what we're going to cook, or we plan to go to the gym to exercise. We've got to make time for it in our schedules. Now, I know that sometimes people are saying, well, I don't have a lot of time. I'm busy doing this
Mhm.
and that. And I get it. But you know what? 5 minutes a day, we all have it. We all can
Right.
schedule it in. And it's about quieting the mind. Now, for everybody, it's different, whether it
Mhm.
is about journaling, like I was saying before, writing, getting into the habit of writing some things down, of being able to just get your thoughts out there, whatever's kind of going on in your mind that's distracting you. That's one way that we can start to kind of incorporate this evaluation of our mindset. But it's going to take some commitment and take some dedication from ourselves to say, okay, this is very important. This is kind of guiding me in everything that I do. So I need to take some time out of my day to schedule time with yourself, make an
Mhm.
appointment with yourself. And there's so many different things that I go through with clients on what they can do in that time. I mean, journaling is one of them. Taking some time to write down gratitude, what they're grateful for,
Mm.
because a lot of times we get really bogged down by all the negativity,
Yeah.
and that really can just, I mean, it can spiral very, very quickly. And
Mhm.
then we ignore what is going well,
Yes.
and we got to pay attention to those things, because the more we can focus and learn how to focus on those things, the more that they grow, the more we see more of that in the world, and we bring
I
more of
love
that to
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the gratitude is
Yeah.
so huge.
It is.
Actually, it kind of reminds me, my daughter, who
Hmm.
is a freshman, she's a brand new freshman in
That's
college,
great. Yeah.
which is so exciting. I think it's so interesting. It's a habit that she has carried over
Okay,
from
great.
her childhood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I just recently learned that she was still doing it. Like
That's
she
great.
writes a gratitude journal every night, which I think
That's
is so
wonderful. That's
cool,
wonderful.
right?
Yeah,
Such a
it
great
is.
exercise. So basically, I think what you're saying is we don't have to go off in a corner someplace and
No,
meditate
no,
necessarily, right? Like it's not like, okay, there's no have tos, first of all, which I
no.
love because everyone is so different. Um,
Exactly.
you find what works for you, but the key is to focus inward, right?
Yeah, it's just like quieting down the chatter of the mind. I always call it the monkey mind that keeps on going and going
Yes.
and going. We've just got to figure it out. And if meditation is one of the ways, perfect. For some
Hmm.
people, it is. Some of my clients, that's what we work on. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not always that way. You've got to go with what feels right for you.
Hmm.
That's very, very important.
And then creating a habit,
Yes,
right?
and creating the
And
habit.
setting time
Yeah,
aside, like creating, setting an appointment up
yeah.
with yourself and,
I like to schedule it in my calendar, to be honest with you. I
yeah,
do it. I do that. I've done that for years. I have scheduled, me
so
time
good.
basically. So that's really it reminds me of that. That's important.
Yeah,
That's how important it is. Yes.
I love
Yeah.
that. So how do we stay committed to our vision, yet remain, somewhat flexible
Right.
when we do run into obstacles?
That's a really great question, Leslie. The thing about that is that I always say it's what we do in the in-between moments that matter. So, when things are going really great, we tend to kind of ditch our habits and ditch their things that are,
Mm,
we have a tendency as human beings to do that. But I say that every single time that we incorporate, these new habits and paying attention to our mindset and everything, we're building up that resiliency. We're building up. So
mhm,
then what happens is when there is a bump in the road, you can have the bump in the road, you can feel, the feelings that you have, but you won't linger there. You won't let your emotions linger
mhm,
there for days and weeks and months. You'll get over it quite quickly because you've built up this resiliency.
mm,
So I think that is, and it is important, I think, as an entrepreneur to be very flexible
mhm,
because when we get caught up in something that stresses us out, something that happens, there's a bump in the road, we see obstacles everywhere. If we're only seeing obstacles, there may be solutions sitting right there that because we're so stressed
mm.
out that we're not seeing them. We're getting
Oh,
blinded by these
interesting.
obstacles. So it's one of those things that if we've been practicing kind of relaxing our mind, getting ourselves in a good state of mind, then that's going to eventually become our default. So then in that moment,
Mm,
you can be there for a moment, however long it takes, allow yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is, and
mhm,
then you're going to be able to see with more clarity. So that's something that just, comes over time. And it really is
mhm,
once you experience that a few times, you become used to it and it becomes your habit,
mhm,
your go-to.
mm. I
Yeah.
love that. And what the thing that I'm also kind of tuning into right now as
Right.
we talk through this is like you're not suggesting like you talk like there's going to be bumps in the road, right?
Absolutely.
And you're not
Absolutely.
suggesting like change your feelings per se,
No.
right?
No.
Necessarily.
Exactly.
Like it's not, putting on the perpetual rose-colored glasses,
No, not at all.
right? And
Not at
you
all.
know what I
That's true.
mean?
And that is true. It's true because a lot of times, we think that, oh no, we have to have it together at all times. And here's the
Right.
thing. I mean, we're human beings. We've got a
Yeah.
whole range of emotions. And I have always found if you don't, like if you fight against it, it's just
Mhm.
building it up. You're
Mhm.
suppressing
You're
it.
giving it too
It's
much attention, right? And
exactly,
that's what you're gonna see
exactly,
more of, is that
exactly.
negativity.
Exactly. So I just say, you know what, if you've got, if you're disappointed, if you're angry, whatever's coming up, just have it. Just be with it.
Yeah.
Be with it for the moments that you need to.
Mhm.
Take a walk outside, whatever you need to do, be with it because as you go through it, going through it is actually the quickest way out of it. So that way you
Mm.
don't even have to carry it with you. Because you know how it
Mhm.
is, Leslie, too. I mean, I think we all can relate to this. Whenever you've had something that's happened and you really didn't deal with it and it just
Mhm.
lingers, and a few
Yeah,
weeks later, you're still thinking about it.
it's
It's like
still
you're
there.
carrying it. And it's like, we don't want to do that because it just stands in the way. It just stands in the way of us doing other, wonderful things out there in the world. So, have it at the moment, deal with it, and then you'll be able to move through it.
Right. And,
Yeah.
a little off topic, well, on
Hmm.
topic, but maybe a little
Right.
diversion here. Um, I recently actually, I did a mindset exercise with one of my
Okay.
groups, and it
Okay,
was
great.
awesome. And it was, I think, really, really super helpful for everyone. So basically,
Okay.
like in a nutshell, we thought through, like we divided our paper into three columns, right? The
Hmm.
first column was the inciting incident, like
Right.
what something that happened
Hmm.
that caused you distress, right? Like
Right.
that's very objective. It happened. It is what it is. The
Right.
middle column is the belief that we place on
On that.
the
Yeah.
incident, right?
Right.
And that's what's cool about that is your point of intervention, right?
Exactly.
The belief system that we place on the incident is what leads to the feelings, and oftentimes
Exactly.
the negative feelings, like, we can't really change
Exactly.
our feelings, they just are.
Right.
But if we find that we're feeling yucky, not very clinical, but,
Yeah. Yeah,
anxious
no.
or,
Right.
sad, and a good example would be, like, let's say you had, a discovery call with a potential client, and
Hmm.
you thought the client was gonna say yes, the client says no, right?
Right.
So, like, you're almost like your go-to feeling is rejected,
Exactly.
questioning, should I be doing this, right?
Right.
And if you look at the belief system that you're assigning to that incident, quite
Hmm.
often when we hold it up, it's pretty off, right?
Exactly, exactly. And we usually have these like built-in kind of, I mean, this is kind of like what, not to get too technical here, but our
Yeah.
subconscious mind, our
Yeah.
subconscious brain is constantly, it's really the major operator that's going on. So like if it's
Yeah.
something in that example, we could be going to immediately in our head, I'm not good enough. That's why
Yes.
this person's rejecting me. I'm not. And then if we allow it, I will tell you, we can go down a rabbit hole making up a
Yes.
whole big bad story about ourselves. And we don't want to do that
And
because that
yeah,
is
you
not
end up
building
like
ourselves up. You end up
exactly.
really,
And
yeah,
I love that because I love the whole process because I think it gives everyone like a point of intervention. Like, we're
yes,
not saying go
exactly.
change your feelings. You can't change what
Right.
happened. The person said
No,
no. Like, you can't go reinvent history, but you
exactly.
can re-examine the belief system that you
Yes,
have that you've assigned subconsciously to the thing that happened. I'm not
exactly.
good
That's,
enough. I
yeah,
shouldn't be doing this. I
right,
don't deserve to get paid for what I do. Like all those things.
right.
They're probably I mean, they're not true.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. And that is that we have to honor where we are and what we feel. I mean,
mhm.
I think that that's really important because I think sometimes we are taught that not to feel those things, don't feel frustrated, don't feel, just
Yeah,
ignore it. But, we're human beings. We're going to feel it. And whenever you can intervene there and not let yourself go and write this other story about, how horrible you feel, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be
it
able to move
is.
through it, and move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, with that example,
Mhm.
the client said, "No, that's the inciting event."
Right.
Even if you really reevaluate your belief system around that
Mhm.
and make some conscious shifts there. I mean, it's
Right.
basically just, it's just shifting your belief system around the incident.
Right.
Your feelings, you're still gonna be disappointed,
Of
right?
course.
You're
Of
still gonna
course.
be
Of
sad.
course. Yeah.
But the key is that you're gonna be able to move on from it so much quicker, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna
Exactly.
feel your feelings for a while, disappointed, bummed out, sad, but
Yeah.
then you're gonna be like, "Okay, what's next?" Right?
Exactly. And then,
Moving on.
if you think about it, then you get on your next call, for example. I mean,
Yeah,
imagine if you don't let it go, you're carrying that through to your next, potential client that you're going to talk to. They're going to
right.
feel that on a subconscious, on an energetic level. They're going to feel it.
Yeah,
I mean, you can feel it when someone is not present or not with it, when you're having an off day. And, I think that that's really important to be able to get through it a lot quicker. So that way you can move on and, find somebody that does need your services.
Right.
That's,
And
yeah.
the thing that's so interesting to me is
Hmm.
when we really look at an incident like that, we often realize it's not even about us, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That rejection, that thing that
Yeah.
we internalized and,
Yeah.
really, most likely in that example, it's about
Yes.
them. The person's
Exactly.
not ready, right?
Exactly. And I look at it too, Leslie, is that, they're not ready for it, and
Yeah,
they're just not a good match. And it's
right.
okay. It's
It is okay.
completely okay. I mean, because there's so many other people that are a better match for you. So they're just, allowing the space to be there for those other people. So yeah,
Exactly. One door closes,
exactly.
many better doors open, right?
Right, right, exactly.
I love that. So, in terms of the role that your mindset plays, like, can you give us some other thoughts to consider in terms of how it is just plays such an integral role to
Mhm.
one's success?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it plays it's a very, like I was saying, it's a foundational piece, because your mindset, I mean, as a business owner, you've got so many different things that you are juggling. And if your mindset is not, so for example, with selling, for example, what we were just talking
Yeah,
about, when you're selling, if your mindset is not in a positive, foundation, if you are not really connected to your why or to your purpose, you're not going to be able to communicate clearly, no matter what strategies you learn. You're still not going to
right.
be able to communicate clearly your message. You're not going to be able to reach your ideal clients that you're wanting. You're not going to be able to do that. So I think from a business standpoint, it is one of the most important things. And I've seen it actually shift people in their
Mm,
business to where, as they start to evaluate and realize that maybe their mindset is more on a negative standpoint, or they're concentrating too much on what they don't have yet, or what they
mhm.
just don't know, or maybe the website isn't ready or perfect the way I want it yet. All those things that we all do it.
Yes.
We all do
That
this.
perfection,
That perfectionism.
anyone can, oh, hey, Gina. We have Gina. Anyone relate to issues with perfection? Oh my goodness. Like, it's
Absolutely.
such a huge thing.
It is. It
I
is.
don't know enough. I'm not ready. My
Exactly.
website's not perfect. I haven't like all these things,
All of
right?
those things.
I don't have enough
Exactly.
training, right? Like
Right.
all these things. So, any tips on like how to handle like what do we do if we catch ourselves in
Hmm.
that line of thinking where really we're just, I mean, I think probably what we're doing is we're just kind of postponing, getting
We are.
started, right? It's just kind of
Yeah.
our way of protecting ourselves. But
Exactly.
what are some strategies, if maybe you could highlight a
Yeah.
couple things that our audience can actually do to help them move forward through
Right.
that, especially the
I mean,
perfection? I think that
I
one's
know.
huge.
I think a lot of it too is it's that fear of failure, but it's also fear of success. I have seen that with many of
Mm,
my clients that have also
yeah,
been afraid to kind of get out there, to put themselves out there, to kind of shine their light out into the
yeah,
world, even though they know that they need to or that they want to, but they're just afraid. And so
yeah.
that fear, it's okay to have fear, but I think reprogramming, so for example, replacing, like, noticing your language, like with
Mm,
like the "I'm not good enough," for example. How about replacing it and actually practicing some affirmations, and you can
mm,
write your own. You can find some, but you can also write your own, like replacing that, putting it in the present tense, and using the words "I am" is very, very powerful, first of all. That's one
mm.
thing that I would say. So whenever we say "I'm not good enough," that's a very powerful statement. It's really, we're saying it that at the essence. So if you replace that, "I am good enough," or "I always know," or "I am always, comfortable and at ease when I'm talking to clients, potential clients," for example,
Mhm.
replacing the language that we are saying is one of the best ways try to figure out how you can catch yourself. This is why I think working with a coach or a mentor is super important, because
Mhm.
if we're doing it on our own, we can catch ourselves, but we're not going to catch ourselves all the time to really, it's going to take a lot longer to make those long lasting changes of our mindset.
Mhm.
But, affirmations, I love using affirmations. I also love to use visualization.
Mm.
And visualization, there's so many different ways you can do it, but one of the best ways, like especially when you're getting ready to do discovery calls or potential clients,
Mhm.
I love to take a few minutes, and I like to instruct my clients to take a few minutes to visualize the outcome that you're wanting, visualize how it's going to
Mm.
go, and just and
Mhm.
feel it, really get into
Mhm.
that state of being, state of mind,
Mhm.
and then pick up the phone.
Hmm.
Or then, get on the call, online,
I
whatever, on
love
Zoom or
that.
whatever. Because what happens is it changes you. It changes your entire state of being, how you show up. And
Mhm.
it's going to leave this kind of openness. We've all been on calls with people that are super uncomfortable and super nervous, and that's fine. I mean, I
Right.
get it. I mean, we've all been there,
Right.
we've all been there. But, you've also been on a call with somebody that is just open and just at
Yeah.
ease, and it is so much nicer to have that exchange when you see this exchange and you've visualized it. Now, I'm not saying that the outcome will be that they say yes at the
Mhm.
end, okay? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But if you go into that call with that kind of feeling and mindset, you're going to come out of that call, no matter what the result is, feeling
Mhm.
so much better of the exchange that you
Mm.
just
I
had.
love that. Now, personally, I
Mhm.
have used that strategy, like, in sports a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, yep.
I honestly, I have not, in all transparency, I've
Uh-huh.
not thought about using that strategy
Yeah,
in this context, which I think is awesome. I can tell you it works great for sports, right? Like,
yeah, it
like
absolutely.
picturing this beautiful golf swing or this amazing tennis serve,
Exactly,
right? Like, um,
exactly.
amazing and absolutely amazing to do that
Yeah,
visualization. So I'm thinking, just the skill transfers regardless of
it
what,
really does.
what it is you're doing.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, I personally have used it. Even my move to Europe, for example, was something
Oh,
that I
really?
visualized
Oh
many,
my
many years
goodness.
before I
Okay.
actually did it. And it was
Oh,
very
so
interesting to
fascinating.
see how it played out. Now, I have to say it played out even, yeah, I mean, even better than what I could have imagined, because I didn't know exactly. I was
Yeah.
really visualizing into the unknown. But just kind of planting those seeds in my own
Oh,
subconscious just brought, opportunities to me. And I was open to them because I had already kind of rewired myself to
yes.
be open to them. Otherwise, I probably would never have seen the opportunity. I would have just seen the
I
obstacles of
love
how to
that.
do it.
I
So,
love that. I'm thinking of
yeah,
so many areas, like, personally,
right.
where I could do that. Like, I mentioned
Yeah,
to you, both of my kids are off to college, like, I'm a
exactly.
week-old empty nester, right?
Right.
So, like, this huge life change, yeah, like, so, like, when we're entering a big transition in life, I think
Absolutely.
I can see how useful that would be.
Yeah,
Instead of
absolutely.
being like, "Oh my god, how's this gonna turn
Exactly.
out?" Like, imagine
Exactly.
the future that you want, right?
Exactly. Imagine it, feel it the way you want, engage as many senses as you can, so that way
Yeah,
your entire system, brain, body, everything is ready for it. It's
yeah.
amazing. I can speak from personal experience of using that. So I've used it in the practices. I use it with my
Mhm,
patients. I use it with, with
mhm.
really, I use that. That's a very big go-to for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
love it. That is absolutely,
Yeah.
like, I learned so much. That's just a huge thank you.
You're
That's a
welcome.
huge, I think that's gonna be an incredibly helpful tool,
Yeah.
for myself personally, but also, in the work that I do with clients, because so
Right.
much of it is, like, just kinda going back, to the beginning of our conversation, it's just so much of our success is based on how
Exactly.
we perceive the world
Yes.
and, how we move through it and our
Yeah.
expectations and these subconscious beliefs that
Right.
really are just so deeply embedded that, yeah, I think that's super helpful. So
Right.
how can people find you? How I'm sure we've got lots of people that are watching the live video and lots of people that are going to catch the replay. I
Mhm.
know that they are going to want to learn more about you. Where can we send everyone to get more info?
So they can go to my website, drashaprasad.com. And for those that are joining us today or on the replay, if you'll go to Dr. Asha Prasad / Leslie, you can
Oh,
go there.
okay.
Yeah, that would probably
Let
be the best
me
place to send them.
Okay. All
And then
right,
they
so
can
I'm
find
going
that
to type
information.
this
Sure.
into the chat. DRASH. Do I spell that right? Yes. PRASAD .com
Uh-huh.
/ Leslie.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Let me make
perfect.
sure I'll put that up. Did I spell that correctly?
That is
Yes, I think
correct.
so.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so what do you have? What will they find when they go to that particular link?
So when they go to that link, I have an inner peace meditation that I have for them for download. They can find
Okay.
that there because I find that that's one of the things that is the first step is for us to get calm inside. It's just a short meditation there. And they can also find a link to my podcast. And they can find, I just released my latest book, my second book on September
Ooh,
1st. It's called The Crystals. Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you so much. It's called The
Yeah,
Chrysalis Awakening: 5 Questions for Rediscovering Your Purpose and Potential in Uncertain Times. So, and you
amazing.
can find that link on there as well. So,
So you're a prolific speaker and writer.
yeah, I do a little bit of this and that.
That's so cool. That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. All right. Well, thank you so very much. It was incredibly valuable. I
Thank you so
really
much.
appreciate your time, and it was great to be able to connect with you. And I would love to do this again. Let's plan on it.
Definitely, Leslie. Thank
And
you
go
so much.
for it.
I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed sharing, being able to share with your audience as well. And I hope that it was useful and helpful for them.
Oh, I
So,
think
thank
it
you.
definitely, yeah, would love to hear your feedback. Actually, guys, do me a favor. Well, not just me, it would actually help you.
Mhm.
I would love to hear from you. Post in the
Yeah.
comments, like, what is your big takeaway? Like, what is
Yeah.
one thing that you can do perhaps a little bit differently, something that you can add to your everyday routine? What's your pick one thing that you think you can tackle and maybe create a new habit? I'd love to hear from you. If you could post that in the comments, that would be really awesome. And not to
That'd be
mention
great.
it kind of helps with accountability too, right? If we,
Absolutely.
that's a huge bonus. If we share it with the world, we are definitely more likely to follow through. So would
That's
love
true.
to hear that. I can tell you mine is imagining the future. I
Yeah.
think that
Oh,
it's
that's great.
absolutely brilliant, and that is my big takeaway. That's what I'm committing to
Wonderful.
in front of the world here. All right. So,
Wonderful.
all right, guys, I thank you again for joining us. It was really great to be with you. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Your one big takeaway, if you could post that in the comments. And thank you again, Dr. Asha, for joining us. This was absolutely incredible. All right, everybody. So bye for now, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.